The stars were cold that night when the Vexery, Imperial fleet came to Earth's colony on Meridian 7. They came without warning. They came without mercy. 3 million human souls lived on that green world at the edge of known space. When the Vexery ships left, only silence remained. The date was March 15th, 2847. Humanity would never forget it. Admiral Chen Wei stood on the bridge of the UE's Vengeance, staring at the holographic display before him. 50 years had passed since the massacre. 50 years of silence. 50 years of planning. The Vexery Empire believed that time would heal the wound they had made. They believed that humans were like other species in the galaxy, quick to anger, but even quicker to forget. They were wrong. The old admiral touched the medal on his chest. It belonged to his grandmother, one of the few survivors of Meridian 7. She had hidden in an underground shelter with a handful of children while fire rained from the sky above them. She had told him stories before she died. Stories of screaming that lasted for hours. Stories of families running through burning streets. Stories of Vexery soldiers laughing as they hunted survivors through the ruins. "Sir, all ships report ready," Commander Sarah Park said from her station. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled slightly. Her great-uncle had been a doctor on Meridian 7. He had stayed behind to help the wounded while evacuation ships fled. The Vexery had made an example of him. Admiral Chen nodded slowly. Behind the Vengeance, 1,000 warships waited in the darkness between stars. This was not the same humanity that had colonized Meridian 7 50 years ago. That humanity had been peaceful explorers, scientists, and dreamers. They had believed the galaxy was a place of wonder and friendship. The Vexery had taught them otherwise. In the decades following the massacre, humanity had changed. They had built ships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They had developed weapons that made even the ancient races nervous. They had trained soldiers who knew no fear. And they had waited for the perfect moment to remind the galaxy what happened when you hurt humanity's children. The Vexery homeworld hung in space before them like a blue jewel. It was beautiful, Chen admitted to himself. Beautiful and completely unaware of what was coming. The Vexery had won many wars. They had conquered dozens of species. They believed themselves to be the supreme power in this sector of the galaxy. They had forgotten about the small, aggressive species they had tried to break 50 years ago. "Open a channel to all ships," Chen ordered. His voice was calm. He had waited his entire life for this moment. He would not let emotion cloud his judgment now. "Channel open, Admiral." Chen straightened his uniform and spoke. "This is Admiral Chen Wei of the United Earth Navy. 50 years ago, the Vexery Empire attacked our colony on Meridian 7. They killed 3 million innocent people, men, women, and children. They thought we would forget. They thought we would move on. They thought wrong. On every ship in the fleet, humans listened to their admiral's words. Many of them had personal connections to the massacre. Others had grown up hearing the stories, seeing the memorials, and learning about the day that changed humanity forever. All of them knew why they were here. Today, we do not come for revenge," Chen continued. "Revenge is too small a word for what we seek. Today, we come for justice. Today, we remind the galaxy that human lives have value. Today, the Imperial fleet remembers. The Vexery defense stations detected the human fleet moments later. Alarms screamed across their homeworld. Ships scrambled to launch. Soldiers rushed to battle stations, but it was already too late. Humanity had spent 50 years preparing for this day. The Vexery had spent 50 years forgetting. The first wave of human ships moved forward like shadows through space. They were smaller than Vexery vessels, faster and harder to hit. Their weapons were strange things that the Vexery had never seen before. Instead of the standard plasma cannons that most species used, these ships carried something different. Something humanity had invented in the dark years after the massacre. The weapons fired. Reality itself seemed to tear apart around the Vexery defense stations. The shields that had protected the Vexery for centuries meant nothing. Metal twisted. Energy exploded. In moments, the outer defense ring was gone. Emperor Vexax watched from his palace as the human fleet approached. He was old now, but he remembered giving the order to destroy Meridian 7. He remembered thinking that it would send a message to the younger species of the galaxy. He remembered believing that humans would learn their place and stay quiet. He had been a fool. "Get me Admiral Chun," he ordered his communications officer. Now, the connection was established within seconds. Chun's face appeared on the Emperor's screen. The human looked calm, almost peaceful. This frightened the Emperor more than any display of anger would have. "Admiral Chun, surely we can discuss this situation. What happened 50 years ago was regrettable, but that was a different time, a different leadership. We can negotiate." "Negotiate?" Chun's voice was soft. "Did you negotiate with the people of Meridian 7? Did you give them a chance to surrender? Did you show mercy to the children in their schools? To the patients in their hospitals? To the families eating dinner in their homes?" The Emperor's mouth opened and closed. He had no answer. There was no answer. "You thought we were like other species," Chun continued. "You thought we would rage for a few years and then forget. You thought time would dull our memory. But you did not understand humans at all. We build monuments to our dead. We write their names in stone. We teach our children about them. We remember, Emperor. We always remember." The channel closed. The Emperor sat in silence as his advisors panicked around him. He understood now what he had not understood 50 years ago. Other species feared death. Humans fear being forgotten. And by trying to erase 3 million humans from existence, he had ensured that they would never be forgotten. He had turned them into martyrs. He had given humanity a cause that would burn for generations. The second wave of human ships advanced. These were the heavy cruisers, the battleships, the carriers. They moved through the ruins of the defense stations without stopping. Vexery fighters launched to meet them. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. Human pilots flew with a precision that seemed almost mechanical, but there was nothing mechanical about them. They were artists of war, trained since childhood to fight in ways that other species could not understand. They did not rely only on computers or artificial intelligence. They trusted their instincts, their feelings, their humanity. And against them, the Vexery pilots were helpless. Commander Park led the fighter squadrons herself. She had refused to stay on the bridge where it was safe. Her family had died on Meridian 7. She would be here when justice was delivered. She would see it with her own eyes. Her ship twisted through enemy fire like a dancing flame. Behind her, 100 pilots followed her lead. They were the children and grandchildren of survivors. They were the inheritors of humanity's grief and determination. They were unstoppable. On the ground, Vexery civilians watched the sky with terror. They had heard stories about humans. Strange creatures from a distant world who refused to die. Monsters who kept fighting even when victory was impossible. Demons who remembered every insult, every injury, every death. But those were just stories, weren't they? Surely the mighty Vexery Empire had nothing to fear from such a young species. The stories were true. Admiral Chun watched as the Vexery fleet broke apart. Ships that had terrorized the galaxy for thousands of years were burning. The mighty Imperial fleet, the pride of the Vexery people, was being destroyed piece by piece. And the humans had not even used their full strength yet. "Admiral," Commander Park's voice came through the communication system. "The Vexery fleet is retreating. Shall we pursue?" Chun thought for a moment. This was the question he had asked himself many times over the years. How far should humanity go? Should they destroy the Vexery completely, as the Vexery had tried to destroy them? Should they show the mercy that was never shown to Meridian 7? No, he said finally. Let them go. Let them tell others what happened here today. Let them spread the word across the galaxy. Sir, we did not come here to commit genocide, Commander. We came here to send a message. And that message is simple. Human lives matter. Attack our people, and we will find you. Hurt our children, and we will hurt you back. Try to make us forget, and we will remind you why that was a mistake. The battle was over within hours. The Vexury Empire still existed, but its military power was broken. Its pride was shattered. Its belief in its own superiority was gone forever. And across the galaxy, other species watched and learned. The humans were not like other species. They did not forget. They did not forgive easily. They remembered everything, and they taught their children to remember too. This made them dangerous in a way that no weapon could match. You could defeat a human fleet. You could destroy human cities. But you could never destroy their memory. And as long as they remembered, they would keep coming, year after year, generation after generation, until justice was served. Admiral Chun returned to Earth as a hero. Parades were held in every city. Songs were written about the battle. But Chun himself felt no joy. He visited the memorial at Meridian 7, rebuilt now as a place of remembrance. 3 million names were carved into walls of white stone. He found his grandmother's family members among them and stood in silence for a long time. We remembered, he whispered to the names on the wall. We never forgot. And now the whole galaxy knows it. The sun set over the memorial, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Somewhere among the stars, the Vexury were licking their wounds and wondering how they had so badly misunderstood their enemy. Other empires were reviewing their policies toward humanity, suddenly nervous about past offenses. And on 100 human worlds, children were learning the story of Meridian 7 and the day that humanity showed the galaxy what it meant to remember. They thought humans would forget the massacre. They thought wrong. And the Imperial fleet, or what remained of it, would never make that mistake again. Neither would anyone else who heard the story. Because in a galaxy full of ancient and powerful species, humanity had proven something important. Memory was the greatest weapon of all. And humans never stopped remembering.